Hello. It is 6 o'clock. It is about that time for your lifestyle expert to be in the kitchen. Tag and share. As I say every Sunday at 6 o'clock, it takes a village to build a brand. And I'm always appreciative. So please, if you know of someone who is interested in learning how to make Granny's greens, please share and tag. My name is Rita Fuller-Yates, for those of you that don't know, and I am a lifestyle expert. So please tag and share. I'll be waiting a few seconds while people get on. As my girlfriend Levitica says, I wish people was more on time, because she's normally on time and it annoys her whenever we have to wait a few seconds for people to get on. So I'm going to start getting started a little earlier and be on time. Efficiency is power, right? So I'm going to grab my apron and we're about to get started. I'm going to turn this a little bit. All right. How is everybody doing on this Sunday? It is 6 o'clock and it is time to cook. It is Sunday at 6 o'clock. I'm representing my daughter's school. I'll tell you guys all about that. For those of you that are alumni of Penn State, I'm giving you a shout out today. So please continue to watch. As I say all the time, tag and share. Tag and share. A lot of times this is a new world. So we need people who know how to go live and is confident in going live. If you have questions, please put them in your comment in the comment line, and my husband will ask me the question while I am completing the process of teaching you guys how to make Granny's greens. One of my faves. So we'll start with the process of even how to clean them, and then we will go from there. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I'm always appreciative of the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we're going to get started, and then through the process, since there's some repetitive processes to this, I will share, like I normally do, something or someone that has made an impact in my life. But so that we are being cautious of time, I thought it was best to just go ahead and get started, okay? So we're making Granny's greens. Remember those greens that we used to eat on Sunday and we all would look forward to it? Oh my God, I miss them. And sometimes, I'd say about 3 times a year, I'll break down and make them the way that I was taught how to make them. Because there's so often that I eat greens and I'm so disappointed in the way that they taste. Yes, there are greens. A lot of people make collard greens, and that's what we're making today, collards. There's different brands or different type of greens. We're making collard greens. But there's just sometimes the kick isn't there. You're tasting a green, it's tender, but it's just missing some seasoning, or it's missing some it's lack of, right? So I'm going to teach you how to put those little kicks in that our grandmas used to use. Now, as I always talk about, I am not the person that is concerned about being a diet cautious, weight cautious person. So keep in mind, none of this ingredients today are very healthy, but we're always mindful that it tastes very good. Sometimes it just got to taste real good, right? Okay, so let's get started. As always, I always normally complete the process for you so that you can see it in the end. So I'm just going to give you a portion and make sure that you got the concept as well as the step and the processes, so that when you make yours, you can make, of course, a lot more. Okay? So we're going to get started. So I normally make collard greens, and I buy a bundle. I will buy, if I'm cooking for my family, a minimum of 5 of these bundles, right? You get these at the grocery store. Now, I prefer getting them from a farmer's market, because you see how much bigger these are. I went to Times Farmers Market out on High Street today in order to pick these up. And I love them because they're much bigger than you would get in Kroger's, as well as a lot less expensive. I only bought these for $1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to clean them first, because that's very important when you're making a green, as well as show you the process and how to make it so that in the end it tastes fabulous. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to run some water, because when you're running you have to clean them. You have to clean the green leaf.
Somebody said it's hard to find greens in Seattle.
It's hard to find greens in Seattle?
That's Leonard Harrison.
Oh, well, Leonard, you can always order them online as well. So I'm sure there are farmers markets that I would highly suggest you visiting. Google them. That's how we find our farmers market, as well as time. I'm going to take my jewelry off because I need to do a little work. Can't always be cute. Got to be a little efficient, right? Okay. So, you see this big leaf? This is what you normally would get when you're at a farmer's market versus if you go to the grocery store. The goal when you're cleaning the green is, of course, is to remove the dirt as well as any grain that may exist on the green. As we all know, a green is a vegetable and it comes from the ground. So it's best to clean them. You don't want to eat dirty vegetables, right? So more than likely, if you bought it from a market, a lot of times they're clean, but they're not clean enough. Times Market is very good at cleaning them, but again, you've got to clean it off even more. So I'm going to start with showing you how to clean it first, and then after that, I'm going to show you how to start chopping it up. Now, the goal to chopping it up is, you see these little veins here? These little veins are what you want to try to avoid using, because that's what makes the green tough. So a lot of times why we have to use a lot of bundles of greens when you're making, especially for like a family, is because it cooks down a lot, and you'll at the end of the day you'll end up removing a lot of the green from the leaf, but not as much as you think. So that's why you have to cook a whole lot more than what you think in order to get an abundance for your family, okay? So what I like to do is I start with the green, and I like to take my finger and begin to peel away in between the vine. So do you see those veins? Excuse me. You want to try to avoid using the veins. So you see how I'm doing this? I want to make sure you guys get this, because there's nothing worse than using frozen greens. We want to use real fresh greens in order to get Granny's taste. Now, Granny would start this process the day before, right? She would be doing this all day, or sometimes as children we would help out. So did you see how I'm doing that? That's the goal, and I'm going to continue to do that for about 5, I think I have 5 leaves. Remember to keep in mind that the leaves will shrink, so the more you make and clean, of course, the more that you'll have. So that's really important as you're cleaning this up. And I'm going to go pretty quickly so that we're not spending a lot of time on this process. As I said before, as you are cooking the greens, they're going to cook down. So you need a lot. But for the case of saving time, I only used, I'm only going to show you how to do 1 bundle. And then after we do the bundle, I'll show you in the end what more than 1 bundle would look like. So this is just teaching you the concept.
Teresa says, is it true to wait until the frost hits the collard for the tender green, or is that a myth?
That's a myth as far as I know of. And let me tell you something else, Teresa. So I say every week, I am not a chef. I am a mother, and I am a lifestyle expert that loves to host and entertain. So I had to go through a lot of processes in learning over the past 20 years how to make great food. And so if I was this way, I thought I would help millennials as well as those that are just challenged with learning how to make great food, how to do it. So a lot of people may think, oh, she's not a chef. I'm not a chef. But I'm a mother, and I love to entertain. And you've got to learn how to make great food if you want people to come back. Am I right, Teresa? Thanks. Anybody have any other questions, please continue to ask. And my husband's feeding me the questions while I get this cooking in. Okay? So this is a little redundant. You do this, and I only have, normally there's about 5 or 6 in a bundle. So again, it's going to cook down. And in the end, you're almost going to have this the way it's going to look. Now, can I take more green off of that? You sure can. But I don't want to spend all of that time doing that. So I would rather buy an additional amount of bundles. So here we go. I'm just going to do that. And in the meantime, while we're doing this, I'll share a couple of stories as I always do. As everyone knows, or may have not known, for those of you that don't follow me on a regular basis, my daughter was given the opportunity to get her master's degree at the College of Penn State. And they're the Penn State Lions is what I hear. And I was there this weekend setting up her apartment, and I'm so proud of her because she's not only going to obtain her master's in business, but she'll also be the assistant coach for the track and field. So again, I mean, you know, where there's blessings, there are blessings. And I'm just so excited for her. But in the meantime, while we were in Erie, Pennsylvania, is where the school is, I was given the opportunity to decorate her bedroom. And we worked like Hebrew slaves, I'm telling you. We were on it. So again, congratulations, Aubrey.
Nita said, explain again why you don't want the veins.
Now, normally veins make it tough. A lot of people will use a knife and just start cutting into it. I prefer not to do that. Did you say Nita? Is her name Nita?
Nita B.
Nita B. Oh, that's my college girlfriend. We were mod mates, actually. Nita B, because that makes the green tough. So when you cook it, it already takes a while to cook greens. You don't need it to be stringy and tough. So I prefer to just remove it from the vein as well as from the cork that runs through the middle, which is really the heart of the green. So again, I'm just removing all of that to avoid it from being tough. Now keep in mind, a lot of people use the bags. I don't like that either. The reason why is because you get a lot of this. And I don't like this. You get a lot of these in the bag. And I'm sure there's a terminology. And as I tell y'all all the time, y'all know I don't know those terms. But you get all these, and I don't like these stems. They're hard and tough. And that's not really what makes the green taste good. So just remove it. So that's why I avoid using the bags. I could teach you the process using the bags, but at that point, I'm not being honest based on what it is that I normally fix. I don't like the bags. So as I tell you guys every week, I teach you based on my own experience. And over the 20 years of entertaining and cooking for people, I've learned gained some great experience in what I like and what I don't like. And instead of keeping all these great secrets to myself, I thought I'd pass them on to you guys. And that's how we started the show. At home. That's what we are, home again. It's nothing better than the smell of greens. You know, when you come home and somebody's cooking greens, although my husband is not a fan of greens, so he doesn't really enjoy the smell of them. But we grew up, you know, especially African Americans, if we're being honest, we grew up with the smell of greens. And I always knew there was something else that was going to pop off that day if there was some green smelling, right? There was going to be some ham, some candy yam, some turkey, something extra, fried chicken. So I always get excited when I smell it. It just smells like home. And that's the goal for me, is to always allow for things to be a great experience while we're at home. So I have the oven on. I'm going to turn that off. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to have my husband, no, I'll bring it over here. So in order to, while I'm cleaning this, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get the broth started. I use just vegetable broth, and you pour in just enough to cover the bottom, and that's going to start boiling. And then I'll show you what else goes into it so that you know exactly. So while we're finishing up cleaning the greens, because there's another process to it, I want to make sure this gets started boiling so that we're efficient with time, right? All right. So I got that started. We only have one more leaf to get done, and then I'll show you what else goes into it. For those of you that are just now joining, just keep in mind that this is just a small portion so that you can learn the process.
Francis said Virginia would be so proud of you.
Oh, that's the goal. That's my cousin. And everything I do is in reflection of what I saw my grandma do. My grandma was the original hostess and entertainer at her home. She rarely left, and she would always have company, whether it was neighbors, family, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. We were always there. And it was always over great food. So that's just because I had I forgot there was something in there, in the oven. I'm always cooking something and then I forget stuff is in the oven. No, you don't have to pull it out. It'll be okay. Those pots are in the oven. Thank you, Francis, for joining me. I always appreciate you. Francis is one of my helpers at my workshops. Oh, great time to talk about my workshop. So once we do this, we're going ahead and finishing these up. They take a little time. So that's why a lot of people don't like to cook greens, because of all the responsibility of cleaning the green and then making the green and then letting them sit. For those of you that don't know, I have a cleaning business, so I clean homes. And some of the techniques I see when I'm in people's homes is they use a crock pot.
Kara Bridges says, another quick tip that I've found for removing the veins is to layer them and cut them all at once along the side of the stock.
Oh, so did y'all guys hear that? Follow the people along, because again, these are all the techniques that I learned. Thanks, Kara. Is that Kara Bridges? You said?
Kara Bridges, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Kara. Again, I am not the expert. I am just a mother who loves to entertain, and I pass my information to you, but there's always other techniques. So if you know of other techniques, please continue to share.
She said, tell her it's Pookie.
I know who you are, girl. You know I know who you are. I miss you because I don't get to see you in Giant Eagle anymore because we moved, but I always think about you because you are a hell of a cook. Y'all see my house steaming up? That's because I have cooked up.
They don't see it.
Oh, they don't see it? Okay, so we're getting rid of these. We don't need these. Now, if y'all know of some solutions to how to use these, please put it in the comment section, because when we share, that's how we learn. That's what I like to do. Now, what's important about cleaning your green is that, for one, you got to clean it, right? You're going to just dump them in some water, and then normally I'll toss it back and forth. But for time's sake, and because of the amount that I'm using, I'm going to just put these in here. Now, some people would say, well, how do you know it's done? And I'll say, the water will begin to it normally is green. But then what begins to happen is it'll get clearer and clearer with each wash. So that's what we're doing. We're just taking these out, and then I'm taking the water out, and then I'm about to put some more water in there. With these, I've already done them, so it looks like I'll have to do this process about 3 times. Again, this is why people don't like to eat greens or cook greens. But we love to eat it, right? It's normally one of the first things that leaves my counter when I'm entertaining. So I'm going to put this back. We're going to put it in again. We're going to do this about 3 times. And again, the goal is for the water to no longer be green. That's a good indication. And then the grain at the bottom of the water should begin to disappear, because these are vegetables that come from the ground, and that's what you're cleaning up. And this is why we don't like to do it, all because it requires some effort. But we love to eat them, right? So I'm going to go ahead, and while this is running, again, we're going to do that about 3 times. But while that is happening, I'm going to show you what else needs to go in with the broth, so you can know, so that can begin boiling with the broth. Okay, I buy pork joel and salt pork. Now, everybody has different options, whatever it is that you like. Some people like turkey. Some people don't like any meat at all. I like to use pork because it just adds that little extra kick that we grew up on. And then you don't have to do much work as far as seasoning. Some people like to put it in and make it a little more hot, so they may put a little jalapeno in there. I just add a little onion, little green onion in there, and that adds just enough flavor for me. Now you're going to need, for this particular amount, just since we're only doing 1 bundle, you're only going to need a couple of slices of each one. And then we're going to put that in with the broth that's already boiling. So I'll just do 3 just so that you know. Again, you can buy these at your local grocery store. You see how easy that is, how easy it's cutting? That's some fat right there. I love that fat. That fat is what makes that grease and that good old taste. And then you don't have to do much work once you put all of these ingredients in there. And then, as I said, we got some salt pork. Again, I am not weight cautious, and I love to have great tasting food. So keep in mind that if you are a person that that you're on a diet, I wouldn't recommend using this. So we're going to cut this. Now, salt pork is a little tough. What I recommend is to get a pair of scissors to finish the process. I use scissors. I don't buy kitchen scissors. A lot of cooks do, but I don't, because I don't want to spend all that money on some scissors. So I just buy inexpensive scissors, and I just use it just for the kitchen. If you see here, it's a little tough. And then we finish it off by cutting it. That's some good old fat. I love the fat. I'd say just about 3 pieces. And then this is going into the boiling broth. As I said before, I use vegetable broth. Now once I put this in, I'm going to bring the pot back over so you can see the process. It already started boiling. You see that? We're about to just drop those in. Some people even fry this before, just so that it gets a crispier taste, but I don't like to do that because it sometimes dries out the meat. Now once I do that, I use a little green onion with it, and then I will add some water just so that it cooks the greens down, as well as adds a little flavor, because it'll start steaming as well, the greens.
Charlene Floyd says she's so proud of you. Sky's the limit.
Oh, Charlene, thank you. Oh, that's Char. That's Char from church. You said Floyd? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Char. That's my sister from church. She was one of our dancers. She's always been supportive. She's always supporting me on Facebook, and I appreciate people like her. Thanks, baby. Appreciate it. Never goes in vain, girly. Okay, so now we're going to add a little water. I'd say a little less than a half a cup, considering, again, it's not that much greens, for this particular process. And then this is going back on the stove because I'm going to finish up cleaning up the greens, and then the greens will go in this pot that's boiling already. That's how you get that flavor. So these are almost pretty much done. I'll have to maybe do it one more time. I'll see a little bit of, it turns into a lighter green. The water does. Just pay attention to the water. The water is the ingredient that tells you exactly when it is done. That's your timer right there. After you've cleaned the water out, a lot of these processes I learned from my grandma. As I told y'all before, I'm not a chef. I didn't go to school for this. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of the story that I had, my poor ex-husband. I wasn't much of a cook. And so I went to college, and I was considered a career woman. And I remember the first time we cooked for his family. It still makes me laugh. I was learning. The only thing I really knew how to make was fried chicken. And his family, his parents came over for dinner. And I'll never forget us about to get ready to eat, maybe about a half hour from eating. And my mother-in-law said, oh, well, let me go inside the kitchen and flip the chicken. Well, she said, I thought you was making roast. She said, what type of chicken are you making? And this is her being kind. And I said, oh, I'm making roasted chicken. Because, again, I only knew how to make fried chicken. She said, you're making roasted chicken? She said, oh, baby, you don't have to flip that. I was about to flip a roasted chicken. Hey, this was before YouTube. This was before all this information was available online. So don't be judging me. But I learned through that process that if I was challenged as a young person learning how to cook fabulous food for people, I can only imagine what other people go through. So this is what allowed for me to start this process. Plus I love to eat good food. And people always cheesing out. Okay, this is pretty much finished. As I finish this up, I thought I'd give you guys some information. I have, I think, one more spot left?
Yeah, 2 more spots left.
2 more spots? We have 2 more spots left for the Wine, Dine, and Create. Wine, Dine, and Create are my workshops that I put on quarterly. And they are really the process of giving you tools and resources to make hosting and entertainment at home easier. We do this by creating something fabulous for your home as well as something great to eat. And it is, I'm telling you guys enjoy going to Paint and Sips. I know y'all do. I've been a part of them, and I'm never shady about anyone's brands. But I will say my workshops are Paint and Sips on steroids. They really are. We have a live DJ. We'll have a poet who's coming in and blessing us. We'll also have lots of people to network with. We'll have vendors there this time. So I'm telling you, for the price that you're getting, it is phenomenal. And not to mention, we have wine, great food that's already prepared for you when you get there, as well as we will make something that you get to go home with, something to eat, as well as a craft. The particular craft we're making this time is a letter, an initial. Now, some people will say, well, I don't want to make anything for myself. Well, guess what? You get to come to the workshop, you get to eat, you get to leave inspired, you get to network, and then last but not least, you get to leave learning how you can host and entertain at home. Isn't that fabulous? And if you don't want to make something for yourself, you can always give it away as a gift. So come on, people. I'm telling you, 2 more spots left is all I have. So our goal is always to push this mission to bring social home again. So nothing I do is in vain. I am a businesswoman to my heart. And those of you that follow me, I appreciate it. Okay, so let's get this started. I'm about to put this, I'm going to just bring everything over here because it's just a lot easier. And then once we're finished with that, I'll show you the end product so that you know exactly how yours should look. Okay, do y'all see how this is boiling? You see how it's boiled? That is the flavor, baby. Okay, now what I always suggest, a lot of people use a lot of water or a lot of broth, a lot of liquid with their greens. I don't. You can always add more water as you cook it down, and if you need to. But what begins to happen is when you use a lot of water, you lose your taste. So I like to use it, it almost is more of a saute that's boiled versus just sitting in water. Because that's where, to me, people mess up. And it's just my own preference, right? When you custom cook, it's your preference versus what it is that you would have to have if someone else was to make it. Okay, we're putting all these pieces in. My water is nice and white and clear so that you can see that. Did y'all get to see that? You might want to tip it up a little bit more. You see my water is nice and clear? And then that way, you know that they are ready. And what I do at that point is I put a little salt. I am a fan of sea salt. So I'll put a little salt on top there. Not too much. We don't want it salty because once the meat breaks down, it also will create some salt. So you don't want the greens too salty. And then this is about to go on. Now for this amount, considering it's just one little bulk of greens, for that amount, it may take an hour. The goal that you're trying to obtain is to make sure that the greens remain or obtain some tenderness. That's why we removed it from the veins and from the stock. Because again, the stock is what makes it really tough. And I don't want a tough green. I want a nice tasting green that tastes like Grandma's. Grandma used to put in some work, didn't she? I love my grandma. She taught me all this fabulous stuff. Well, I should say we watched her do it all the time, like every Sunday. Remember those days? I miss those days. Remember we got to play outside, and remember our cousins would be fighting, and we'd be out there doing double dutch, and somebody else was cooking, and you was out on the porch just smelling all the goodness. I miss those days. And that's what really my book is about. It's all about making sure, and I'm adding some more water, again, and that's going to cook down. And then guess what else we do from that point forward? We just let it cook. I'm going to cover it with a lid. And once I cover it with the lid, the rest is history. We just turn the fire down because we don't want it to burn and we don't want it to cook too quickly. As it sits and it begins to boil, the juice is going to run down, and that's okay. But just watch it so that the juice, considering I don't use a lot, don't allow for the juice to totally evaporate. But allow for those juices to get into the green. At that point, you may need to add more broth. As I tell you guys before, broth is a great substitution from water. And then you will allow for that taste to get in there. So you do have to watch it. And for this, a little amount that I use, I would recommend using maybe a cup of water. Nothing more than that. And then just use common sense. You can always add more water. It's difficult to take it away. So do it slowly in progression while it cooks. If you see that the water is cooking down on it, don't worry about it. And then mix it up. Now another thing I do sometimes in the interim that I don't have that much time is I'll cook it halfway, or mostly when it's almost done. And then let's say the doorbell rings and people are on their way over. Another technique is to saute it into some bacon grease, or cook some bacon, put it in a frying pan, and then don't complete the bacon, put the greens in with it, and then just saute it. And then that also gives you a little more flavor that is similar to what we used to taste when we used to eat it at our grandma's house. Okay, that's basically it. And then I'm going to show you guys what the end result looks like. We did good on time today. I'm so excited. I'm always mindful that we're in a world where we can't be on this thing for hours because you ain't going to get people to listen to you for hours. A lot of us are very short in our listening skills nowadays. And it's okay, but it's a part of the process that I've had to learn to adjust to. Okay, so once these are done, you see the juice? I don't have a lot of juice. But those are my greens. Now, I told y'all before, my husband is not a green fan, but I love them. And I love them around the holidays. And my daughter was the one that was saying, Mom, you know you need to show them how to make your greens. Because everywhere we go, as much as I like to say, and I just play it off, man, those are some good greens. They ain't that good because people don't want to go through this process. It's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work to create something great. Okay, that's basically it. See how juicy that is? You see the meat still in there? You see that fat? That's the stuff that our weight-cautious people probably aren't very proud of me about. But as I tell y'all before, I cook for things to taste good. I don't necessarily cook because it's healthy for me. And okay, so that's it. That's it for today. I am going on record, and I always say I am not a chef. I am a lifestyle expert here to make hosting and entertainment easier for you and your family and friends. As I said also, we have 2 more tickets left to the workshop. So please, please, please share and tag. Or if you know someone who's going to be in the Columbus area on September 17th. Say it with me, September 17th. It's on a Sunday. I live downtown, so if you haven't visited the downtown area at the Commons, this is a great opportunity to do this. And also, parking is free. So I always hear people say, oh, well, we don't want to come downtown, then we got to worry about parking. Parking is free, so that's not even a good excuse. Please continue to follow me online, as well as we're posting this information onto our YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram. I'll continue to post this information. So share and tag. That's how we build a brand. Share and tag. Again, my name is Rita Fuller-Yates, and I'm your lifestyle expert, and I'll see you next Sunday.